What's going on, world? We are back. We're here to talk about Week 1 recap, college sports, Week 2 predictions, WWE, and other news in sports. We are Sports Moods, 2 Moodies,
1 Duty,
Sports. We are back, and let's get into it, guys. Let's go. What's going on, guys? Like I said, we are back, Sports Moods. I am C. Moody with
D. Moody, and
we are here to reflect on Week 1 in the NFL. Also, get over what happened in the college world with, what is that, Week 2?
Yeah, Week 2 in
Week
college
2 in
football.
college. We're going to also, of course, get back on WWE. Then we're going to hit up some other stuff in the sports world, finishing off where we left off with the U.S. Open for tennis. Also, what else we getting into?
We're also going to talk about some breaking news with T-Mac, Tracy McGrady getting inducted in the NBA Hall of Fame. Also, we learned on yesterday that the Mamba, Kobe Bryant, is going to get both of his numbers retired, 8 and 24 for the Lakers in December. So that's big news there. And we're also going to get into a little bit of baseball about the Cleveland Indians and this win streak they got going on at 20 games right now. So just some other things going on around the world of sports we'll get into.
And we're going to end it off with doing our Week 2 NFL predictions. But right now, we have to go back and recap on our Week 1 predictions. If you listened to us last week, you know that I am a sports analyst officially. Because I got most of the record right now. I got most of the wins.
Still early.
Still
early.
It's early.
It's not early. How you start, it's how you finish.
Yeah, you're right. You said it with the Patriots, so. But I must be proud of myself for Week 1.
You had a good week. Because I'm telling you, I was tallying this thing up the other night. I'm like, why isn't he losing?
Yeah, so we're going to start it off with the first game, Chiefs and Pats. Which I told him, just because I felt like the Patriots are still basking in the ambiance of their Super Bowl win. The Chiefs took advantage of it. But, I mean, it was actually kind of a good game, maybe.
Me being a Patriots fan, obviously I got that game wrong, being biased. But if you're going to lose, you want to go ahead and lose early. Go ahead and get some of those mistakes and all this other stuff that's going on out of the way.
Definitely.
I think what really hurt New England in this game was the defense really let them down. Yeah. I mean, Brady didn't play that well either, but we've seen in the past that he doesn't always have to play at a high level for them to win games.
Right.
But you do have to take into account there's a lot of new pieces. You have Edelman out. Now we're seeing how big Julian Edelman being gone, how big that is now.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought Chris Hogan would step up. I thought the new addition of Brandon Cooks would. They did some nice things together too. Now we know Amendola's hurt, but most of New England's touchdowns came from running the football. Tom Brady didn't throw a touchdown or a pick in the game, and they still almost won.
Yeah.
So, but the thing is, I think the defense, Tyreek Hill caught him off guard with that long 70-yarder touchdown, and then the kid from out of nowhere, Kareem Hunt.
Yes.
Like, who is this guy and where did he come from?
Debut game, he actually ended up getting 246 yards totally from scrimmage, which was actually the first player since 1970s merger in a debut game to do that. So, I mean, definitely
that's
the
awesome.
rookie.
And did you know he fumbled the first snap?
Exactly. So he definitely made up for himself and then some. And also you have to give it to Alex Smith, who had a phenomenal game, which I always liked Alex Smith. And wasn't he on
49ers
before he moved over? Mm-hmm. And I liked him then. I always thought he was a really good quarterback. I actually would put him right behind Aaron Rodgers, but he's just the undercard. I mean, nobody really knows
him more as a game manager type quarterback.
Right.
Like not last night, but last week, he was looking like you said, an Aaron Rodgers type quarterback against the Patriots. I think the Patriots gave up the most yards and the most points they ever gave up in the Bill Belichick era.
368 yards, 4 touchdowns. He went 28 for 35, man.
I don't know if that's just a 1 week, one hit wonder with Alex Smith. I do think the Chiefs will be a contender this year.
Yeah.
With the pieces that they have. Andy Reid's a really good coach. He doesn't really get the respect I think that he should get when you talk about NFL coaches, but everywhere he's been successful, so he's doing some good stuff.
Definitely. I have to give it to the Chiefs. I hope that they can keep this up, man. I really like Alex Smith. And if Kareem Hunt can keep up his rushing game like he did this Sunday against the Patriots, we definitely will see them in the playoffs.
And what got me, though, was like a lot of people, obviously being a Patriots fan, everybody throwing jabs at me. But the last 3 times the Patriots have started 0-1, which was 2001, 2003, and 2014. Guess what happened in those seasons?
Tell me again.
We won the Super Bowl. So it doesn't always mean because you're 0-2 or 0-1 that you're going to not make the playoffs.
Yeah,
it doesn't
true.
always mean you're 2-0 that you're going to go to the playoffs. So it's a lot that still can happen. But they got a tough one coming up this week against the New Orleans Saints. So both of those teams are 0-1 right now, needing some wins.
Okay, we're going to have to come back on the prediction on that later. Oh,
somebody going to be 0-2.
Yeah, definitely. So the next game I got on the list is Jets and Bills, which we both equally said that the Bills were going to win. Like I said, I didn't really know.
Yeah, I didn't really have a lot invested in this match.
Yeah, not at all. But I mean, Tyrod Taylor, he had a pretty decent game. 16 out of 28, 224 yards with 2 touchdowns, even though he had 1 pick. And LaShawn McCoy, even though he had 22 carries, he did pull out 110 yards. And they are currently leading the AFC East. That was a stat that just popped up there.
It's just one game, man.
It is one game.
Like, one game doesn't clinch a playoff berth.
Oh, definitely. I found it funny because somebody made that meme, and it was like, if you're not 1-0 and you're leading your AFC, don't talk to me. And it's like you said, it's just one game. Like, what are we bragging about? Like, how many times have we seen the Bills close to anything?
I mean, the Vikings last year was 5-0, and they didn't even go to the playoffs. So, I mean, it means nothing.
That's definitely true. What game you got next on yours?
Houston over Jacksonville. Both of us took Houston in that game, and Jacksonville really put a beating on the Texans. Their defense really came up to play to the point where I'm sorry about that. Kid from Clemson, quarterback. Deshaun Watson. I said Deshaun Jackson. Sorry about that. Deshaun Watson was inserted into the second half of that game. He replaced Tom Savage in the second half of that game.
And he didn't have a bad game.
He didn't have a bad game. He did throw a touchdown to DeAndre Hopkins, but the game was pretty much already over at that point. But he did show some good things. So I'm really anxious to see this week what Houston is going to do in terms of their quarterback situation.
Definitely.
Especially with everything with Harvey, I thought they would come out with the momentum.
I mean, and definitely seeing the intro to it, J.J. Watt was definitely fired up, so it was kind of disappointing for me to see that. But, I mean, it was a good performance by Jacksonville. Blake Bortles went 11 for 21 for 125 yards, which is good. I mean, it gave him the advantage. Where the real thing about this game was the defense. They recorded 10 sacks with 4 turnovers. Mm-hmm. And then you know what I didn't realize, which maybe if I would have recognized and looked at the players on the team, I would have changed my answer. They have Leonard Fournette.
They do, from LSU, yeah.
And he had 100 yards and a touchdown with 26 carries. And I totally forgot where he went to it. Like, if I would have known that, I might have went differently. Even though I wouldn't have bet over Texans being fired up with Harvey and stuff, but I kind of like Leonard Fournette, man. He's definitely a hard player, a hardcore up and down player. So good for him for his rookie year right now. Just starting
first game of his career. Huge. That was huge. The next game, we both agreed on Pittsburgh over Cleveland. But I will say, Cleveland gave Pittsburgh a game there. DeShone Kizer from Notre Dame, quarterback, first start, rookie, really played well. I think he had a rushing touchdown in that game. But really, Antonio Brown really scored me a lot of points this week in fantasy football. He was huge in that game. It took the Steelers' offense a while to really get going. Le'Veon Bell was kind of not a big factor in this game. So hopefully they can find that balance to get him going again. But, I mean, they beat Cleveland, so they got that first win of the season.
Steelers pulled it out 21-18. And what, didn't they win? I don't remember how the ending went to that, but like you said, it was a very close
It was close. Yeah, I didn't get to see the ending of it
As
either.
a matter of fact, the Steelers pulled the touchdown out like in the last quarter. As a matter of fact, I remember seeing that last touchdown pass. Big Ben pulled out 263 yards and 2 touchdowns with just 1 interception. Now, I will ask you this before we go to the next game. Do you feel like with this win and Deshaun Kaiser's opening performance that the Browns might have a promising season this year?
I would have to see more. He's got to build his body of work for me. I mean, like I said, going back, it's just the first week. So you can look good the first week. You got to keep in mind, too, the first week of the season, I mean, they didn't have any film on him to really watch him, to study him, to see what he was going to do. That's probably also why Houston played a little bit better in the second half, too, because they didn't really have anything on Deshaun Watson. So you kind of make adjustments as the game is going.
That's true.
But he does look like he could have a strong upside. He does play in a tough division, though. We're over there. I think Pittsburgh's over there, Baltimore, and Cincinnati. So those are some pretty good defenses that he's going to be facing twice a year. But I think from his week 1 performance, it looks pretty decent.
Okay. The next game both of us agreed upon was the Falcons pulling out a win over the Bears 23-17. And it was another close game.
Yeah, Matt Ryan still
Yeah.
A little subpar performance from his standards, but he did enough to get the win.
Definitely. He still pulled out 321 yards passing with 1 touchdown. Austin Hooper, I think that's his name. Was that
They're tight end, I want to say.
Yeah. He pulled out 128 yards receiving and 2 receptions. He was the one who had that amazing wide open catch.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
I just realized what that was with 1 touchdown because they had the 88-yard touchdown pass. So, I want to say, for this drive, for this game, is it just good defense? Because at the end, I watched the end of it.
Okay.
And it was like they had a final drive, and the Bears was at the goal line. And 2 times that he had receivers drop the ball, which I can attest, one of them he got hit amongst dropping the ball, but the ball was technically out before he got hit. And then they finally sacked him on the last play so the Falcons could seal this win against them. So do you think that the Falcons had good defense or the Bears just had very bad receiving catching?
It could be a little bit of both, but I mean, at the end of the day, the Falcons defense did stop them. So I think you got to give them the credit there. Again, it's just week 1, still trying to get in the flow of how things are going, what kind of team you want to be, what kind of offense you want to run. So, I mean, I feel like as a receiver, if you get your hands on the ball, you got to catch it.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, you're making a lot of money. You're getting paid a lot of money to make those big catches, especially in clutch situations. And then this could be a thing like if you're pretty close at the end of your year in the playoffs, in the playoff race, and then you look back at the games, you'll be shoulda, coulda, woulda, we could have. And this could be one of those games that could keep you out of it, that you could have won. But I think you got to give the nod to the Falcons defense because anytime you can do a goal line stand and keep that team out of the end zone, you got to get some credit for that.
Definitely. Next game I'm going to get into, which I predicted. I got right on this one. The Ravens pulled it out phenomenally over the Bengals 20-0. Which
Cincinnati did not look good.
Yeah, they didn't. They
really
didn't.
Just, I mean, I don't know what's going on there. With me, I think it could be time for a change at the head coaching spot.
And because Dalton, he had, 170 yards passing, but threw 4 interceptions and then had 1 fumble. So,
and then a lot of it, too, I think it is Dalton. He's just been underachieving a lot. The Bengals are one of those teams, they'll go to the playoffs, but they never can win in the playoffs. And, you know, both of us being African Americans, you know, we do like to say, hey, we like to see African American coaches and everybody be successful.
Right.
Like in the world of sports. But Marvin Lewis has been there, I think, 4 or 5 years maybe. Could be longer. and he's like got an 0-5 record in the playoffs.